June 1st. I've just washed my hair, so it's somehow wet and dry and frizzy all at the same time. The curly people know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I was just about to put these socks on. They are Opal Van Gogh yarn, Starry Night inspired yarn, and I made these a couple of years ago, I think, while it was during the same week of the year while I was taking my kids to superhero camp, and my sister, who generally lives in a different state than I do, soon she's going to be living in a different country than I do, she also had a Van Gogh inspired craft she was working on at the time, and so whenever I put these on, I kind of flash back to that time, and it's nice, but especially today because I was working on them during this period of time. Oh my goodness, it is so humid today already, and but it did rain this morning, so hopefully some things will evaporate for the kids today. We're going to be doing the first day of superhero camp, and the husband is also upgrading the electrical today, so there's a lot going on. I am going to be trying to sneak in some knitting time throughout the day, and I'm going to bring this with me so I can cast on that second cuff for the mouse switch socks. And yeah, that's probably even a stretch goal for today, because we have camp, drop off. I'm going to be coming back here to help MJ with the electrical stuff as much as I can. I know nothing about it. I'm just going to follow what he tells me to do because he knows everything about it. And then go do camp pickup, and then go be assistant music director for Footloose, and then maybe come home, maybe spend the night at my mom's if the power isn't back on at our house. So kind of a big day. And now I'm hearing the kids, so it's time to get moving. My job is to unscrew all of these wires, and even though I know the power is off, and MJ knows the power is off, he came in here and showed me with this tester that it's all off, even though I know the main power is off. And it was just very sweet of him because my self-preservation instinct is a little too high sometimes, and even though I know it's off, I'm scared. So I've been able to pull several of these out. I had to get a smaller screwdriver to keep going, but I thought this was fun. There's this old little tag from the electrical department from 1969. So I'm just going to keep it where it is, and when he takes the box off, I'll ask him if we need to give that to someone or if we can keep it. Pay no attention to the unmade bed behind me. It's not important. Okay. This past week was absolutely crazy. Superhero camp for my kids. This weekend I went to a show on Saturday and a show on Sunday because I've got a lot of friends who do theater, and it's really fun to go see them. But now I just realized I've been so overwhelmed that I haven't even had the brain space to pick out a stitch pattern for any socks. I've just been doing 2x2 rib sock cuffs And then once I get done with the cuff, I just like move on to another cuff. So I got this cuff done for the mouse switch socks, added the main yarn, have no idea what I'm going to do with that one. And so I just did the other cuff, and now I set those aside. Then I did the cuff, what I thought was going to be the cuff to my General Leia socks, and this part was the first part of the skein, and I didn't really like that being the start, so I just left that. It was so up to the green, that green right there is where it ended. And then I thought, you know what, there's such big swaths of this speckled white for it. I think I would rather it start out with that and then go into the stripes. So I did that. I did 2 cuffs of the white, and then I realized on the outside of the cake were more of the stripes, but I actually wanted the white on the outside of the cake to be available for the heel. So I took the few stripes that were on the outside and added them to this. So this might just turn into a 2x2 scrappy sock. I have no idea. It might turn into a mitt. I don't know. I do think if I did like a gusset, of course this could fit over my hand. I just don't want to pull the stitches off the needles there. But like cute little fingerless mitt. I usually like knit mine all the way up here. I don't know. I would have to add a gusset and like start actually thinking about that. This one is done. This one, I'm still like putting the last of those other stripes on. But really this just feels like I'm putting this away. I don't really feel like I'm making decisions. I'm just, maybe there will be decisions made by the time I'm done putting it away. I'm just like, because that's a stinking long cuff for a sock. If I had known how it was going to be, I probably would have stopped the cuff at the gold, but I just kept going thinking I was going to get like a full repeat, but I wasn't remembering this stripe pattern from the picture. So once I figured it out from the skein, I remembered, oh yeah, that's what the picture looked like. So I'm just going to be finishing this and then setting them in here with my other scraps, because I think I'm going to just add to them and have them be, you know, stripey, scrappy socks. I don't know. That's the goal right now. But I think I'm just going to finish this one. I'm going to put it in my bag. And then I think I'm going to cast on for another pair of socks. I have 2 more US 1 needles left that I can use. And so I have this self-striping colorway called Hagrid's Pumpkin Patch from Freckled Whimsy. And this is the mini that comes with it. So I think I'm just going to take these 2 things with me. We're going to the library. I have 1 more pair of socks that I would love to cast on this summer. And who knows, maybe there will be even more, but there is 1 more in a project bag that I think I will do. But I'm going to take these with me. These are my last size ones, and I'm going to cast on these cuffs. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I need to finish some socks. Maybe I need to buy a couple more pairs of size 1s. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll actually gain some brain space and be able to finish a couple of socks. Who knows? That seems unlikely at this point. But I do have a minute to sit this evening at my kids' rehearsal. And I keep wanting to bring like my computer with me and work on some personal things during that period of time, but I keep forgetting, and so then I'm just like scrolling on my phone or knitting on my sock and stuff. So I'm going to see what I can get done in that area. But I've also been thinking I might, after I've tried to knit up this Hagrid's Pumpkin Patch yarn before, but something was wrong with it. I don't even remember with how I was knitting it. So I might add the remnants that I had pulled off for other things just to these. I don't know. Speaking of scraps, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. and just bring these couple of cuffs with me. That means I have cast on 1, 2, 3, it'll be 4 pairs of socks by the second week of June. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the rest of June. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be only socks that I work on. I don't know. My bandwidth is low, as I said. So we'll see.
I think he's trying to just drive away from it.
He might be trying to drive away from the tornado, but everything that I've ever heard about tornadoes is you're not supposed to drive in them. You're supposed to get to the lowest place in your house that's the most safe. And in our house, that's the basement. So
Yeah,
that's where we are.
they also say with no windows. Our basement has a window.
Well, it has the tiniest windows of our house, and they're very close to the floor, right? So those tiny windows that are very close to the ground shouldn't hurt us too much. Hey, we didn't Hi, so it's been quite the day. MJ is almost done with work, but last night we had a tornado watch, which normally it's not a big deal. I have lived almost my whole life in Indiana, and so most tornado watches don't scare me because usually they're being really careful. And last night there was a tornado watch across like 11 different counties and things. But if it's a tornado watch versus a tornado warning, that means that they've actually seen a tornado touch down. And of course, tornadoes move very quickly. So I just always take the kids down to the basement anyway, even if I think it's going to be not that big of a deal, because I have no way of knowing it if it's going to be that big of a deal. So last night the tornado watch started, and then the town sirens started going off. And as soon as I figured out why the town sirens were going off, I ran upstairs and, was waking up the kids and bringing them down to the basement. And as I was waking them up, our power went out. And that has never happened before, where I've seen the tornado watch thing and then the power goes out that quickly. So it freaked me out more than I've ever been scared of something like that before. Like I said, lots of times where we just are in the basement having the snacks and stuff. And actually, it's kind of a fun time a lot of time. My mom used to make it really fun when I was little. But last night we were, just running. MJ and I were just running through the house and gathering things to take down to the basement. We already have, that's where we keep our extra food, and anything that we don't want to freeze, because of course that's under the freeze line for the ground in the winter. But also that's where we keep our deep freezer. So anything frozen, or we definitely don't want to be frozen, goes down in the basement. So we just but it's not a finished basement. It's kind of a, just a regular unfinished basement where you see the heaters and you see the air conditioning unit and you see all the things. And MJ has built shelving all over the place down there, which is really nice. And we have a lot of camping stuff that came in handy last night. But I realized I've always wondered if having a radio would be a good idea down there, and I think that would be a good idea. And then there were a couple of things that I thought, you know what, it's probably a good idea to just keep a first aid kit down there and cycle it, bring it up if I think if things in it are about to expire, and then put a new one down there. We have a bunch of canned goods down there. He actually set up this really cool system where you put a can in the top, and when you pull it out of the bottom, they all kind of slide down. That's really nice. But once we finally got down there, I was he was setting up lights and things, and they all have to run off of batteries because the power was out. And I thought, you know what? I think if we do need to be down here for a while, it would be good to either conserve battery life for things or to have a different light source. So I tried our oil lamps for the first time last night, and that was really, really nice, actually. I was a little bit anxious about it. I've never heard of a kerosene explosion, but I was worried because I've never lit them before. And I never even put fuel in them before. I put a wick in one of them, just so it would be ready. But I didn't realize of course the wick needs to have fuel on it for it to, yeah. Anyway, so figured all that out last night, and it worked. And it was really nice, actually. Number one, because just the soft firelight is really nice. And number two, I have all these memories of the smell of kerosene, and you can't really smell the kerosene unless you're right on top of the lamp. But I was right on top of them when I was lighting them and moving them different times. And when I was little, I grew up in this old Victorian house, and very George Bailey-esque, where my parents were always renovating it, and there were parts of it that just weren't sealed very well, and so it was pretty drafty, and heating it in the winter was, I'm sure, just a real expensive thing to do. And I grew up as one of 5 kids, and so even just having 5 kids is expensive. So to cut down on heating costs, a lot of the time my mom would use this kerosene heater. Even just, I don't even know if it was to cut down on heating costs or even just to help the heater heat up the house. I don't know. But one of the things I remember is she would always have it for when we were supposed to take a bath in the wintertime. Of course, after a bath, you're naked and wet and cold. And so we would sit like as if it was some type of like campfire. And it was this kerosene heater, right? And you could kind of see the flame in there, and so we would just like have our towels wrapped around us, and we'd have this wet hair, and we'd like sit there and dry off. And she would always tell us that if we would dry off faster, we'd be warmer faster. But of course, we'd just sit there like cold and huddled up. And that smell of kerosene just brought all of those memories back from when I was a little girl, and my mom was trying to like keep us warm after bath time. And so yeah, the power's still not on right now. I am making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because we had breakfast outside, because I'm just trying not to open the refrigerator or the freezers while the power's off. Keep all that cold air in there. So we're going to be eating some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Before the alarms went off, we were just watching Taskmaster, which is a show that I really think is so funny. So we were having a great time, but it's kind of funny when the power's out. Like, our water is run with the power, and so I can't do any dishes and I can't do any laundry. As soon as MJ gets home, we're gonna probably do some yard cleanup and stuff. I offered to do it before he got home, but for some reason he was wanting me to wait. I don't know, maybe he doesn't want us to take care of it without him. He has a lot of provider protector stuff that he does that I love, but he also feels obligate, is that the right word? Like, sometimes if I do those things, even though we both, lead our home, protect people in our home, provide for people in our home, nurture for people in our home, he still, I think, feels like he's not doing his job somehow. Anyway, I don't have that. If he, takes over something for the kids or housework or whatever, I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't feel like I'm shirking my responsibilities. The chainsaws are still going. Oh my gosh, they've been going since the power went out last night. I think one of our neighbors was using a chainsaw. One of the trees it was close to his house, and it just fell. You can just see the splintered trunk there. It's probably only 2 feet high or something, and all splintered off there. I think he was trying to get all the wood off of his driveway so he could get to work the next day. But he was out in that storm just chainsawing this tree, which is crazy. But then the chainsaws have not stopped. They went all through the night, and they're all trying to get these precarious limbs so that they're not going to fall on people's houses and tote them away. So I don't think we have very much to pull to the way that it works in town is if you just pull it to the side of the road, to the front of the house, the city will kind of haul it away for you. So that's nice. But I think compared to a lot of other people around here, we don't have as much. That's probably because we don't actually have any trees in our yard. Anything that has fallen is from neighboring trees that the wind carried to us. MJ said that if the power is still out when he gets home from work, we'll still clean up the yard and everything, and then we will go out to dinner so that we can keep the refrigerators and freezers closed. So we'll see if that happens or not, because if the power's back on, I would love to just cook some food here. There's only so much you can eat from the pantry without being able to cook anything. And our heat is off of gas, but our range and our oven are both electric. So, yeah. Anyway, we will handle it. It'll be okay. But it is interesting to not have any power. The kids and I went to the library for hours because I woke up this morning, and of course my phone was almost dead. And I have this kind of power bank that is nice because it'll recharge my phone twice before it dies. So I went to the library with my phone and that power bank and our little family tablet. And I also have a phone charger in my car, which is nice. So as soon as I put us all in the car, my phone was charging. And but it's a really funny thing. So we sat there for a couple of hours while the thing's charged, and I knit on the sock I've been obsessed with. So I'll try to make sure to show you the sock I've been working on. I sat down and did the first half of the heel last night in the basement. I cannot find the green mini that came with the self-striping yarn that I'm using. So I just grabbed that gray that I've been using for my scrappy socks, even though I think I would have liked the green better, but I can't find it anywhere. And last night, as I was hurriedly grabbing my knitting before I went down into the basement, because I got everything down there and then went, oh no, I don't have my knitting. So I ran back upstairs and got it and thought, how ridiculous would this be if I died up here searching for this mini, which I even like looked in 3 different places for and couldn't find. So I just grabbed what was available and brought it downstairs so I could keep going on that sock. So they have gray heels, even though I planned on giving them green heels, but there's probably enough yarn for me to do 2 pairs of socks. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll see which ones I like better. I don't know. I am really enjoying that new stitch though. That's really fun. And I think right now I'll just sit with them while they eat their peanut butter and jellies and kind of regroup, because the plan is always hard when you don't know when the power is going to come back on. Sometimes they give you an ETA of when they think, ETA? An estimated time of repair, maybe. But even that is just an estimation. And right now they're not even giving an estimation. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be here just trying to do things, because we have lots of water downstairs. We have things that we've kind of stocked for situations like this, because tornado season is just a thing that happens in Indiana. Other places have earthquakes and wildfires and hurricanes and whatever else, but our natural phenomenon is tornadoes. So I'm looking at my plants and realizing like I haven't watered them in a while, but there are things that I see all around me that I could do if the power were on, but I can't do it right now. So I might just need to make a list of things I can do while the power's out so that I don't feel quite so helpless. Maybe we'll tidy up all of our bedrooms. Maybe we'll do that. Because those have hard floors, so we can just sweep them. We don't have to vacuum anything. Yeah, still thinking. I gotta sit down and maybe make a list or something. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes I just get overwhelmed about the list. But I think this will help to give me ideas of what I can do. 23rd. It's a little before 7:30. And I have this whole shelf situation all the way down to the bottom, full of yarn. And I have a couple of cabinets my sister gave me. She's moving to Norway, and of course, like, she can only bring so many things, so she brought some of her pieces of furniture, asking if I wanted to use them, and so I said yes. And there are a couple of cabinets that are really pretty, and they have like this faux stained glass on the doors, and then also a coffee table that's really cool. And I'm planning on bringing the coffee table home tonight, so I need to move the cabinets. So I just moved this over, and a bunch of this yarn fell off while I was doing that. But I just needed to move it over so that I can put the cabinet in there and put other yarn in there. So I'm interested to see how it will all fit. I was thinking those will be really nice because I love being able to see my yarn. I love being able to see it, but also I'm hoping that putting it in a cabinet like that will keep it a little more protected, not just from like moth larvae or anything, but also just from fading with the sunshine in here. So I've got a couple of hours maybe to do this morning if it's gonna be done. So let's do it.